This is marriage wisdom for wives who want a long marriage. Peace in your home is not automatic. It is created, and more often than not, it is created by the emotional discipline of the wife. That is not blame, that is influence. Women carry emotional influence inside a home, whether we want to admit it or not. Your tone sets atmosphere. Your facial expression sets atmosphere. Your size set atmosphere. Your silence sets atmosphere. Your reactions set atmosphere. You can walk into a room and shift the emotional temperature without saying one word, and that is power. But power without awareness becomes destruction. Some wives want peace in their marriage, but they rehearse pain daily. They replay old arguments. They mentally revisit old disappointments. They relive moments that were already discussed, already processed, already supposedly forgiven. And then they wonder why the house feels heavy. You cannot move forward while dragging yesterday behind you. If something was addressed, let it stay addressed. If something was forgiven, let it stay forgiven. If something cannot be forgiven, then be honest about that. But do not say you forgave something and then weaponize it every time conflict arises. That is not peace. That is emotional leverage. And leverage erodes intimacy. There is another habit that destroys peace quietly: constant irritation. Some wives live in a low-level state of irritation. Nothing dramatic, nothing explosive, just constant dissatisfaction, constant correction, constant commentary, constant reminders, constant pointing out what is wrong. It feels small in the moment, but small things repeated daily build emotional distance, and emotional distance builds loneliness, and loneliness builds resentment, and resentment hardens into self-protection, and self-protection slowly turns two people into roommates. Peace does not mean silence. Peace means emotional maturity. Peace means you pause before responding. Peace means you decide which battles are worth fighting. Peace means you stop reacting to every imperfection as if it is personal. Your husband leaving a cabinet open is not a character flaw. Your husband forgetting something is not betrayal. Your husband needing quiet is not rejection. Sometimes wives personalize normal human behavior, and that personalization creates tension that did not need to exist. You must ask yourself, am I reacting to him, or am I reacting to my own unresolved expectations? Long marriage requires self-awareness. If you are an alpha female, like I am, you must learn restraint. Being strong does not mean being dominant. Being capable does not mean being controlling. Being intelligent does not mean correcting constantly. There is a difference between leadership and control. Leadership invites, control demands, and men respond differently to both. When I stopped trying to control the emotional direction of my home, everything shifted. When I decided that I wanted stability more than I wanted to win arguments, everything softened. When I let my husband lead in areas that did not threaten my safety or values, peace increased. Not because he changed overnight, but because I changed my posture. Respect is not weakness. Humility is not submission to abuse. Peace is not silence under oppression. Peace is the result of emotional maturity meeting emotional restraint. There is also something that wives must stop doing if they want long marriages: the in and out cycle. Threatening to leave during every conflict, packing emotionally during every disagreement, using departure as leverage. If you are staying, stay. If you are leaving, leave. But do not use instability as a weapon. Instability does not build respect. It builds insecurity. And insecure marriages do not last. Long marriages are built on predictability, on consistency, on emotional safety. And emotional safety starts with you deciding, I will not create drama where discipline is needed. I will not escalate when calm is required. I will not rehearse what I have already released. I will not bring up what I chose to forgive. I will not create a tense atmosphere because I am bored, irritated, or unprocessed. You are the thermostat, not the thermometer. A thermometer reacts to temperature. A thermostat sets it. Stop reacting to every mood shift. Start setting the tone intentionally. That is how homes become stable. And stable homes build long marriages. Long marriages are not built because two people never hurt each other. They are built because two people decide to stop hurting each other intentionally. And that decision begins internally. It begins with mindset. It begins with discipline. It begins with emotional maturity. There is another layer that wives do not always recognize in themselves. It is called self-protection, and it does not look dramatic. It looks quiet, it looks calm, it looks composed, but underneath it, something has shifted. Self-protection in a wife happens when she decides, quietly, that she will no longer be fully emotionally open. Not because she stopped loving her husband, but because she stopped feeling emotionally safe. So instead of arguing, she withdraws. Instead of expressing hurt, she internalizes it. Instead of asking for connection, she lowers her expectations. She becomes efficient, functional, capable, independent, but emotionally guarded. And husbands often do not see this shift because she is still cooking, still cleaning, still showing up, still handling responsibilities, but she is no longer offering emotional access. And that is where long marriages begin to slowly cool down. Not in fighting, not in screaming, but in quiet emotional withdrawal. Some wives call it peace, but it is not peace. It is protection. And protection, when left unaddressed, becomes distance. Distance becomes disconnection. And disconnection becomes parallel lives. You cannot build a deeply connected long marriage if both people are protecting themselves instead of connecting. Protection feels safe in the moment, but connection builds legacy. So if you recognize that you have become guarded, if you recognize that you share less than you used to, if you recognize that you stopped expecting emotional closeness, do not shame yourself, but do not ignore it either. Ask yourself honestly, when did I start protecting instead of partnering? Because long marriages are not built on two independent people coexisting. They are built on two emotionally available people choosing vulnerability repeatedly. And vulnerability requires maturity. It requires restraint. It requires letting go of the need to win. It requires letting go of the need to be right. It requires letting go of rehearsing old pain. And when a wife chooses emotional availability instead of emotional protection, peace returns, connection returns, warmth returns. And that is how long marriages move from survival back to stability. And that is how long marriages are built.